Thank you. So hello everyone, my name is Karandeep Singh Sangheda. I am president in Capilano Students Unions. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am chairing this meeting in presence of our external chair, in absence of, sorry. I'm a bit nervous. This is my fourth and last general meeting being joined with CSU, so I am a bit excited too. So beginning with, I call in meeting at 11:44 a.m. and beginning with land acknowledgement. We gather on traditional ancestral and stolen lands of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nation, on whose territories we live and organize. All our CSU activities goes to support indigenous students, indigenous people. Ratification of meeting chair. So this motion will be to appoint me as the chair of this general meeting. So motion says, I need a seconder and mover, and motion is to ratify Karandeep Singh as meeting chair. Moved Nico, seconded Divyansh, and we don't have discussion on this. So everyone in favor to appoint me as chair, please say aye. Everyone against, please say nay. You have given voting cards to vote. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Motion passes. I'm the chair of the Semi-Annual General Meeting. Next, we have some explanation regarding meeting rules. We will be explaining not all, but some general Robert rule that will be required to understand like how any professional meetings work in profit organization, non-profit organizations, and also in government agencies. Like we will having some motions coming ahead. For that, I will need a mover that will be supporting the motion that and saying like they want to have some discussions or they want to move it ahead, and following by a seconder to actually have discussion for that motion. And following that, we can open discussions, we can make some amendments if we require, we can do some amendments, we can remove any item from the motion if we want to. And finally, we can move for voting like we did just now to appoint me as chair. So that's how the basic process of how we go with in meeting. Any other rule will be explained by Chris.
Yes. Hi, folks. Chris Girodat here. He, him pronouns for me. I'm the CSU's executive director, so I'm a member of our staff team. We don't have any special resolutions on today's meeting agenda, so most of our agenda items are going to be discussion, as well as an opportunity for questions and answers with the board of directors. If you have a question while we're going, we'll ask that you raise your hand and we will have runners bring a microphone over to you. If we have a lot of speakers on the same topic, we may ask folks to line up and staff will provide direction on that just so we can make sure we get folks in the correct order. So we thank you for your cooperation there.
Thank you. Next we have adoption of agenda. So in this process, we will be approving that we want to discuss the presented agenda. I believe you all have the papers that what we are going to discuss today. So the motion is be it resolved that the members of Capilano Students Union adopt the agenda as presented. I need a mover, moved Nico, seconded Arshalin. Any discussions, any amendments, we can amend to add discussion items to the agenda. We can't add any resolution because of the bylaws, but we can add discussion items. Any amendments we want for today's meeting? Seems none. Everyone in favor to adopt the agenda, please say aye. Everyone against, please say nay. All ayes. So we are now, agenda is now adopted. Next we have presentation to our 2024-25 annual budget. I believe you all have the documents with you regarding that states, like what our budget, what are expenditures, what are the income for Capilano Students Union, and how we are spending and what sectors we are spending on. So please kindly have a look on that, and budget will be explained by our VP Finance and Services, Akshit Kans.
Thank you, Karandeep. Hello everyone, my name is Akshit Kansra, pronounced he, him, his, and I am the Vice President, Finance and Services at CSU. First of all, I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on traditional, ancestral, stolen, and unsurrendered homelands of Coast Salish people, including those of Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Scattered nations, on whose territories we live and organize. We appreciate the tremendous labor that has gone into nourishing and protecting these traditional lands. So, here's the consolidated look at the CSU revenue sources for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. This budget is one that was approved at our most recent board meeting for presentation today. We expect to bring in 3.3 million in revenue from student society fee, including the student union building fund, but this does not include the health and dental fees. We expect a major increase in interest revenue as we have invested most of the building funds until the end of 2024. So the planned expenses are 2.4 million, leaving a surplus of nearly 1.2 million, almost of which is saving for the student union building. Staff is working on 5% lower enrollment and an inflation rate of 3.4%. So, moving to the next slide. So, here's a snapshot of the revenues for each fund area. All have been adjusted for inflation, assuming 3.4%. This represents a decrease of 5% compared to last year as enrollment and in-person courses due to changes associated with study permit for international students. The basic student society fee have been increased from last year from $1,085,000 to 1.3 million. External advocacy fee have been increased by approximately $6,000 from the previous years. From the previous year, I mean 2023-2024. Equity and sustainability fee last year was $159,000, and in the year 2024-2025, it is approximately $176,000. Clubs and events fees have risen by $6,000. Business and professional association fee has escalated from $130,000 to $138,000. Last year, recreation and intramural fees was $98,100, and now it is increased to $113,000. So the personal electronic repair fee have increased by $11,000 from last year. Building fees has increased by $185,000. So there is an increase of 18.4% of the total membership fees as of 2023-2024 budget. In values, it is $580,000. Moving further, so so these are the funds that we have. So expenses in each of our major fund areas are relatively consistent with the previous fiscal year, adjusted for inflation. We expect that each area is going to be in a black or balance. So here are the funds for the new fiscal year, including the surplus from the last year. Operating fund, we do have a hike of $190,000 from the previous year, 2023-24. External advocacy fund, there is a total rise of $6,700. Equity and sustainability fund has increased by $4,600. This year, clubs and event funds has risen up by $6,000. Last year, business and professional association account had $112,000 in the year 2024-2025. It has bumped up to $136,000. Recreation and intramural fee funds increased by $15,500. We do have seen an increase in electronic repair by students. So the personal electronic repair fund has been increased from $134,000 to $150,000. Total of $16,000 increased. Building fund, we do see an increase of $19,000. So in total, there is an increase of 13.3%. So there is around $282,000 in total. This is the budget and funds which we will use in the upcoming fiscal year 2024-2025. All the executives have worked with the executive director and the staff to create the best possible way to utilize the students' money in the upcoming year. Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, you can ask.
So At this moment, please ask any specified questions regarding budget. We will be having question and answer time period like later on. So any questions regarding budget? So thanks Akshit for presenting budget, and thanks specifically Solo he's our finance controller from side of staff, and he's really hardworking. And so major update regarding the budget is like we are uh, having a much alert regarding the new guidelines from government regarding change in pattern for international student that can alter our fees and our revenues. So we are having a keeping much more margin than usual, and to keep a safe side. Next, we don't have any special resolution or ordinary resolution, so we are skipping that part. We have board of directors report and question and answer period now. So I will be presenting some major updates for the work that had conducted in the past term, and you can have a look on the documents you have with you. I think that have much details regarding those things. So first, I will give some details regarding major campaigns we hold it throughout the year. That starts with Drop the Drop Fees campaign, which is regarding the 500 drop fees that only international students have to pay when they are dropping all the courses in case which are not paid by domestic students. So CSU have a policy regarding that and asking for fairness in these expenses. Next, we have CSU's Make the Switch, which is which encourages an instructor to use open educational resources instead of fixed specified text and opening the resources for all, and which saves up to more than $1 million for students since its launch in 2020. And we are still working on it in our university relations side to have more and more professors supporting us in that campaign. This is much to do with faculty side, but we still need support from students to talk with the professors regarding this. Like, if more and more professors are joining us, then we will be able to support more students through this. Next, we have Coffee with Commuter program. That is that's like not specifically campaign. That's like a kind of a our survey style in which we gain data from the students, like on specified issues. For example, we have Coffee with Commuters regarding TransLink, like how they are facing problems, and we spend a lot of time regarding talking with transit and other departments related to TransLink. So I believe much more detail regarding government relations and TransLink can be given by Manpreet, our Vice President External.
Hi everyone. So for government relations, we work with the local government, provincial government, and federal government. For the provincial government, we have been advocating for tuition. Okay. Okay, just give me a second then. Line by line. Okay. For relations with the government, we work with the local, provincial, and federal government in like different priorities that fall under each of them. So for the provincial government, we have been advocating for affordable housing, and we have gotten student housing approved for CAP, but it's still not enough to match the number of students who are in the university, so we will continue to advocate for that. Other than that, I got to attend like the legislative day where Susie, who's a MLA for District of North Vancouver, just took us around the legislature to talk with various people who she regularly is in connection with. And because it wasn't as lobby focused, we were able to talk to various people there and like hear from them and in any other way that they can help us within our priorities. Then we also continue to advocate for the 2% tuition freeze for international students, which is still valid for domestic students, but international students don't have any kind of protection on their fees. And that was also brought up in the lobby days, which is with the ABCS, which I'm also chairperson of, and all of our executive was there advocating for student housing, international student fees, affordability, and financial stability for students. Other than that, we also have our spring lobby trip coming in Ottawa for federal lobby days, where we will continue to advocate for all these priorities again, but to the federal government in a different way, for student housing, transit, because transit has been such an active conversation this year. We were talking with like TransLink here, and then the Mayor's Council, various mayors who like kind of participate with transit. We're also working to join the Access for Everyone campaign to get funding for all the projects that we need to make happen for students to have access to transit. We continue to work in like short-term and long-term projects. For the 245, that is the only bus that comes to campus directly from FIBS. And then we did lose buses coming directly to campus, so we also kind of talk with them. And right now with the BRT project coming up, we're also working on that to see if CAP can be included on it, but even if it can't be, it's still a good step for students to have like a more reliable service crossing the bridge. And other than that, the priorities that we'll be bringing up at federal lobby trip will be food security, and then financial aid for international students, because there's none right now. And even the few scholarships that are available to international students within the university are not, I mean, not a lot of students get them, so we just kind of keep working on those things time and again. Okay, that's about it.
Thanks, Manpreet, for a detailed explanation on those. And not taking much time, I will move towards our working with university relations. So we are working on tuition waivers, and in that we are discussing with Capilano University to introduce tuition waivers for indigenous students from the host nations. We have university tuition policy that's advocating for policy changes to protect international tuition fees from sudden increase, and we are demanding a cap. Not only in our university, we are campaigning, we are advocating it for with provincial government to have a cap on international student fees. But apart from that, we are also having our chat with university constantly on that. Other than that, other than cap, we are demanding for installment plan for the fees, and that is regarding that students can pay their semesterly tuition fees in some monthly installments throughout the semester. That will be really helpful for students who are earning hard throughout the semester, and at the same time they are seeking education. Moving ahead, our new project is on 24-hour library access during exams, for which universities are really affirmative with us, and they are expecting that they will not only open some part of our university 24 hours, not only for like just exam period, but they will might be they're planning to open it for 365 days, because we are getting a student housing nearby, and that will make more student presence during the later time. So it will help us to give them some space where they can settle down. And in that time, if most of students might don't know, like our university timing is like all the main campus is closed at 11 and open at 7 in the morning in general times. But with this, we are advocating for university typically for exam period that it should be open for 24 hours, because exam timing for exams are not decided with students' concern. They are decided on the availability of like schedule from side of faculty and management. Some students are covering 2 hours transit distance for exams, and they are spending money in taxis. So that's our main focus with opening 24 hours library access. And next we have specified study spaces. In this, we are having a focus to our main advocacy on this was to have some specified rooms or areas inside this building, typically the library one, in which where students can discuss some topics, not only academics, but apart from academics. Let's say some students are saying my field on, like I'm interested in physics, and some students are want to discuss something apart from their education, like they're discussing, but they want to discuss some project, they want to tinker their mind regarding some other thing, so they can get a space. And we are also discussing regarding a peer tutoring system where students can get opportunity to gain experiences in tutoring, and on the other hand, other students, the one who is getting tutored will be getting benefits from concept clarifications. I believe if we have a friend from speaking the same native language, and they can exchange a knowledge much better than taking a knowledge from professor, because our bonding with our friends or our own age person is much better. Moving ahead for our updates regarding member services. First is Community Cupboard, which offers immediate food assistance throughout the Community Cupboard, partnership with Capilano University Student Affairs Department and Greater Vancouver Food Bank to improve food stock. In 2023, they contributed 10,229 pounds of food. Next, we have Student Rights Office. This is office, basically, this is the major area where we play a role for the rights of students, and we are always open for any kind of concern or where students feel they are not getting, typically saying justice regarding whether it's educational field, whether they are facing any problem for any type of problem, like saying we provide confidential and non-judgmental support, explain policies of university, like what are your right and what help you can see. We got like new number of complaints and number of requests in student right office throughout the year, and which our staff is helping proactively. Next, we have service which is known as Empower Me, which is a 24/7 platform that provides mental health support to students, connects students with trained counselors and life coaches in over 180 languages. Next, we have Health and Dental Plan, which is one of the major services we provide, and in which students get discounted health and dental benefits, at much lower price than the market. Then we have Device Doctor, which is situated in library lawn just here, where our staff person Alan works very hard in finding and repairing the parts of hardware of your devices, laptops, mobile phones, tablets, and we provide, we not charge anything specifiedly from the device cost. Let's say if a mobile required to change a screen, we are just charging for screen. We are not charging for any other services. We are not making any profit on that. It's we offer that in person and in remote services too. Next, we have a Reboot, which is offer refurbished personal electronics to students in need of laptop, tablet, and phones. We find many devices, we are currently focused on laptops. We find laptops which are not in best condition, but they are in good condition for use for students who are really in need, and we offer them at no price. We offer that at no price, and we buy it from from the market and then provide students with that. Next, going with our building community, we have Women Memorial March we hosted our 3rd annual Women's Memorial March on campus to honor and acknowledge the disproportionate violence against Indigenous women and girls. We marched throughout the campus before gathering to pay respects to the missing and murdered Indigenous women, their families, community. We are thankful for everyone who joined us there. And we actively work on this project from year to year. And this is our 3rd one, and we will be holding this next year and next so on. This is in our annual calendar. Next, we have Black History Month. So this is a kind of announcement for the upcoming event, which is on February 29th, I believe a day after tomorrow. Yeah, a day after tomorrow. So after 5 p.m. we have event just here in this library launch that's regarding celebration and cultural appreciation at the Black History Month Cabaret. Giving some internal updates regarding the Capilano Student Union's working. We have major changes in our attendance and workload expectations in this term, which help us to maintain a very high percentage of meetings in which we are reaching quorum. And So we will be having a great focus on our board of directors working hard and combining the ideas. Next, we have a gender diversity, which is a revised gender diversity policy based on consultation with trans, focus, consulting, and students. Next, we have event safety and governance, in which we implemented a new policy to ensure events attendees safety and address unsafe behavior. We take very strict guide for we take very strict guides in that policy, like how we will be controlling any kind of problematic situation at event or after event. We will be focusing all kind like to maintaining a very friendly and inviting environment for all. So at the halfway point of 2023-2024 fiscal year, we are forecasting ending our fiscal year on May 31 with a significant surplus. This is an important development for financial sustainability of the CSU. This surplus is going to substantially replenish the deficits that we had incurred during the pandemic. Student Union building, we have been able to increase the cash balance of building fund by $1.2 million. So we have resumed discussions with the university facilities and capital planning and financial services team for the project's next step. Last but not the least, the upcoming major event for CSU, that's elections. So we have changed the whole scenario regarding elections this year, keeping in mind the problem we faced in the last few years regarding complaints and the students' complaint regarding like how they are facing problems in campaigning, how they are facing problems, and to maintain the integrity and to maintain the fairness, we shifted the elections to in-person, and there will be in-person voting that will be held from 12th March to 14th March. They will be open from 9:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. For this campus, it will be here, and for Kalahari campus, it will be at Kalahari campus lobby. That's on March 13th from 11:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. So I really encourage you all to be a part of elections in some manner. If you are really interested to be running for board of directors for any specified position you love, where the area you want to work, nominations will be closing tomorrow at noon. So nominations are open till 12 p.m. tomorrow. So please fill up the form if you are really passionate to work for the student union, because we are a body like from students. We are made up of students. Like we are working for students. We need passionate students, like not one who like just thinking about themselves. We need to think about community together. So please fill up the form if you have really think about once in your life, like you really want to be part of that. So forms are available at our library launch desk. They are available online. You can print it and then submit that. It's very easy process. You just need 10 signatures. That's all. Other than that, if you are not ready to run in elections right now, please go and vote. That's really important. Whom you are voting. Voting will be in person here. What our vision is, like campaigning will be just student will be present here. You can see whom you want to vote, and that will be totally there will be total fairness in the voting. Like no one will be near you while you will be voting. It's like voting in a booth, and only election administrator, who is independent contractor who will be watching elections throughout, will be standing near you, or maybe someone will not be near you. That's not decided. You will be totally independent to vote. That's the main concern. And apart from that, we always open for students to join our clubs and committees. That's how all our main campaigns, main budget form up. Our annual budget is form up from Finance and Audit Committee, which joins up throughout the year and focus on the areas where we want to work. And all the policies on which we are working for the external, we are doing that in Advocacy and Campaigns Committee, where students are invited. Without any elections, you can just apply for that position, just answering few questions, why you are passionate and all that. And folks in Governance Committee will be deciding who will be there. That's apart from the board of directors. So ending by saying be a part of student union anyhow you want to, because you all are member of that. That's how student union is running. And I'm ending my updates on our annual updates. I'm ending up my annual updates and leaving a space for question, and question periods are on now. So just assume it like a press conference. You are asking questions, so so please feel free to jump out and ask any question regarding any portfolio, anything you want. Our board of directors are sitting on the left side of mine, and our 3 executives are present at the moment. So I think that will be a really great opportunity. Thank you.
I will ask for questions that folks please raise their hand for us so that a member of our team can run a microphone over to you to just make sure your question is audible to everyone.
Hi. I wanted to say first that I really appreciate the work you did for the surveys about the transit and the commute. That's really important information to know. And I remember that last year I got a survey from the university asking a lot of questions about what area do I live, how much time do I, right? But they never.
That may have been. Oh, sorry. That's okay. That may have been the CSU Student Experience Survey, because we do include all of those questions as well.
But I never saw the results of that survey. So I was wondering, maybe not for this particular example, for example, scholarships, we don't know exactly how many international students actually get scholarships on this like 7% that we're allowed to apply for. So I was wondering, how was your experience trying to get this information from the university? If there was too many barriers, if they actually were helpful to provide some?
Yeah, definitely. I also advocated with university, the VP University Relations, Jennifer at that time, regarding to reject xenophobic donations which are not available for international students. But the scenario was a bit different, which was regarding there was some government-related donations which are mostly the revenue that university is getting are from the grants, not from donations. That's why most of scholarships are not available for international students. But we are still like working actively on that, and it's one of my own annual goal, and we completed that by advocating with VP University Relations, Jennifer at that time, and I believe we will also write to our new VP University Relations, and we also give some updates regarding that, like what we are expecting and what students really demand for that. Thanks for asking. Sure.
I was wondering if the student union was doing anything besides trying to get government funding to provide accessibility for food security.
So basically, we are joining with some local food banks. We advocate with government regarding having some food security for students. Typically, my idea was to have some subsidized food stores available at public universities, specifically for students, giving some sort of limited quantity, monthly, weekly, depending on situation. And right now we advocated for that, and our policy says like student will be given some sort of food security because of the high expenses. Getting granted a grant from government is not that possible. I believe regarding our past possible grants, Chris can tell like if we have any history regarding that.
Sure. So the province doesn't have any specific grants like that they've pre-created for food security. Some of the things that the CSU has done in the meantime, pardon me, in the meantime, knowing that that's the case, the budget that you folks received earlier today does include increased investments in the CSU's food security expenses next year. So that's going to support trying to keep the community cupboard better stocked each week. We're also working with our new member services coordinator to bring back, in addition to the community cupboard, we're going to be bringing back emergency food hampers that can be a little bit more intentionally constructed in a more nutritionally holistic way and customized for the number of dependents and dietary restrictions and that sort of thing. So that's something we're hoping to bring back for next academic year. The CSU's board also, fairly hot off the presses, on Friday did approve a $10,000 contribution to the university's Eat Care Share Fund, which is being matched dollar for dollar by a foundation that the university has been working with. So that's a $20,000 contribution to that fund. In response to advocacy from the CSU and other community groups on campus, I will say as well, the Eat Care Share Fund's criteria with the university have been updated. They're no, pardon me, they're no longer requiring documented proof of financial hardship. They're requiring self-identification by a student that they're experiencing food security in order to expedite the approval process. And we were advised at the very end of January that just in January 2024, having made that change, they've already approved as many Eat Care Share bursaries as they had issued in all of 2023. So I encourage students to look for that resource on the university website if you're interested. The other piece that I would mention here, in addition to that, is basically every Thursday, in partnership with Student Affairs and the Greater Vancouver Food Bank, the CSU does make fresh produce available. It's called Pop-Up Produce here in the lounge. Encourage folks to take responsibly what you need there, bring your own bags. And then the last piece I would mention is if you're still, for any member that's still struggling to make ends meet there, we know that it's helpful to have choice and autonomy in building the package of groceries that you need. So I'd also encourage you to come chat with us at Member Services here in the Library Lounge about a referral to Quest Food Exchange. They're a referral only, members only, deeply discounted grocery store option with locations in Vancouver and Surrey and I believe Burnaby. And Langley? Yeah. Oh, and North Vancouver, yes, here as well. So I encourage you to reach out to us for more details on that. We're an authorized referring agency for that program, so we can hook you up with them for a client card within about 48 hours at the location of your choice. So those are a couple of the other pieces, not necessarily on the advocacy side, although we are pressing government there, but those are some of the services to fill the gap in the meantime.
And just also, I believe, with our chat with university also specified some budget on food security, and I am happy to say like that we initiated that talk with university. After that, university had some specified budget for food security in their annual budget.
I think last year, did you guys also start the community fridge on the other side?
Yes,
Okay.
asterisk. There is a fridge as well as a freezer. We're working out some of while there is some food there, when it's donated, we are working out a couple of sort of food safety and supply challenges and making sure that we can sort of strengthen that program. But yes, that is also up and coming.
Yeah, I'm sure that can be kind of a challenge with food that's not like older. I was just curious about it though, because I definitely check it every week as I check the community cupboard, and I've never seen any food in there. But do you know how often it's being maintained, or how often food was in there, at least when it first started?
Tuesdays and Fridays. I am advised by a member of my team.
Okay, thank you.
Hello. Did you say that for the Eat Care Share program that it's the university or the government that's matching dollar for dollar?
It is the YP Hyung Foundation that the university is partnered with. So they are matching dollar for dollar everything that the Eat Care Share Fund raises through the foundation by the end of the day on Thursday, up to a maximum of $60,000.
That's wonderful.
So one of the CSU guiding principle is that divesting from colonial power and championing indigenization. And on December 5th, the CSU leadership called for permanent ceasefire in Gaza, and which a lot of students appreciate for that call, because I think we are the first university that called for the ceasefire, and then the ACPU, other university followed. But what are the actionable steps we can take to make sure that their voice is heard? Like, is there any workshop we can do, or academically can we push the university to have a course on this matter, so that all the students, they have the right to know about the right history, not just focusing on the mainstream media. So is there anything we can do from the CSU to promote the indigenization and divest from colonial power?
Yeah, certainly. Like students are free. Like we didn't get much input from students regarding the statement. Statement was passed by board specifically after very long discussions, and that was from like we got many emails from students regarding what are our stand on the existing situation. Certainly yes, like we can obviously we if we just need like more and more feedback, like how students really want to make their voice heard. Like uh, uh, yeah, certainly basic answer is yes. Like just provide us like more feedback, like how students would like to CSU to be working, and that will be a matter for board of directors to discuss, like whether that will be appropriate or not. But for sure, like the feedback will be admirable.
Second question here.
I was wondering, because of limited funding, how will eligibility be determined, and what constraints are there for the tuition policy?
You're talking about, can you repeat the question? Like,
Sorry.
yeah,
Since there's going to be limited funding for a while, I was wondering how eligibility was determined for the tuition policy and what constraints there are.
this one?
So, a little bit of background here. There are a couple of intersecting pieces of advocacy. So, a major foundational piece, I think, for the CSU is that government funding for the post-secondary system has plummeted over the decades to a situation now where tuition revenue outpaces, almost with international tuition revenue alone, outpaces public support from government. So the advocacy on limiting tuition increases to 2% provincially to provide that stability and that predictability to international students, I think is interwoven with the expectation that government needs to fix core funding for the post-secondary system. So I think those pieces of advocacy need to take place together. One of the pieces that I know the VP External has been working on with our provincial partner, the Alliance of BC Students, is we know from like anecdotal conversation that the province has somewhere finished a magical review of post-secondary funding, and it's sitting on a minister's desk somewhere without any action being taken from its outcomes. And so that's something that we're pressing them on, because we think that predictable tuition is probably going to need to be coupled with the province fixing how it funds post-secondary. That's a little bit in the air right now with the federal government's changes to the international student program, but there's always going to be a crisis interfering with addressing post-secondary education, and so we think that government just needs to move forward regardless, and if they need to adjust it later, they need to adjust it later. But we don't think we can wait any further. The reason that you see us specifying international students is that the province has an existing tuition limit policy that exists at the ministry that only applies to domestic students. And there are some other asterisks, there are some other footnotes there. The reason that we're requesting specifically to change the policy to apply to international students as well is we don't believe that universities, this is in the board's policies, the board does not believe that universities should be generating profit from international students. There's, I think, different levels of acknowledgement of whether cost recovery is fair and appropriate and equitable, but in the meantime, at the very least, we can agree that net profit generation, in the board's view, isn't acceptable. The reason that we're proposing to add international students to this policy is because it's low effort for the ministry. Basically, Minister Lisa Baer, with a stroke of a pen, could just amend the policy without any legislative approvals, and international students would have that protection. And then for the tuition waivers for host nations that the CSU is advocating for, this is an opportunity that we're trying to give the university to advance its commitment to reconciliation. They have now presented Chen Chen Stui, their indigenous framework, to the university's Board of Governors and Senate, and we would love to see the university put some concrete actions behind that. And we think that specifically offering tuition waivers as an act of reconciliation for the Squamish, the Tsleil-Waututh, the Musqueam, the Shishale, and the Lil'wat nations would be the best starting point for that. So that's how those priority areas were selected. Beside that speaker as well.
I just need clarification on the 24-hour library access thing. So first, you want to advocate for the exam period only, and then move it on to 365 days? Okay.
So basically, we advocate for the exam period only, but university is interested to make it permanent because of the upcoming housing near our university, and so that they believe like that will be more suitable. Our advocacy was started for exam period because there are some examples we have regarding like AMS in UBC opens their main building for 24 hours during exam period, and because our advocacy focused because of let's say I'm not able to come early in the morning, so I'm taking classes that are more towards afternoon or evening, but exams are not specified. They can be at any time because of the schedule. So our focus was exams only at the moment, but if university would love to do it permanent, that will be really great.
Do we have a question on that side of the room? Okay.
First of all, I would like to apologize. I was late to the meeting, so I don't know if you mentioned this. So it seems that there is a surplus, so I just wanted to know, what do you intend to do with that?
Sure. So there are two pieces there. In the current fiscal year that we're in right now, that ends May 31st, yes, we are projecting a very significant surplus for this fiscal year. The board right now, in our current fiscal year budget, we are not allocating that surplus to any spending. The board's policy is that each of our fund areas should have as an accumulated surplus, so like our cash reserves or a savings account, the board's policy is to have 12 months in reserve to be able to operate without program or service cuts if our revenues were interrupted. This was a policy that was developed when our colleagues in Ontario were facing attempts by government to interfere with student societies, where the Doug Ford government basically said, we're going to find a way to cut off your revenues altogether. And student societies there were worried that they were at risk of collapse as a result of losing mandatory fee collection. So the CSU at that time, knowing that we have no control over who's in government, we took similar steps to make sure that we had cash reserves on hand to continue operating while we pivoted to figure out what to do in the future. During the pandemic, we ran 2 years of very significant six-figure deficits, and that was approved by the board in order to continue providing existing levels of programs and services when students had more questions than ever and needed more resources and support than ever. The surplus that we've budgeted, or the surplus that we are forecasting for this fiscal year through to May 31st, is not quite enough to replenish the deficits that we ran in the previous 2 fiscal years. It's almost there. So that's rebuilding that accumulated surplus that the board has targeted for our operating fund for the next fiscal year, for the fiscal year ending May 31st, 2025. you will see in the consolidated statements, it looks like there's a significant surplus, very high surplus. The important thing to bear in mind when you're interpreting that surplus, the Student Union Building Fund is intentionally accumulating a massive surplus in the next fiscal year, I think of nearly $1 million. But that's because that fund needs to accumulate the capital cash that will actually be used to finance the construction of the building. Each of the other fund areas for operating clubs and events, external advocacy, personal electronics repair, health and dental, and clubs and events associations, each of those fund areas, the board's policy is to budget them to a 1% surplus. So balance the budget and then have a very small cushion for unanticipated expenses. That's the true surplus. The surplus of the Student Union Building Fund is unique in that it has a purpose. It just appears in the statements as a surplus. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
that does.
Awesome.
I have a few more questions. So, I see that in this in the union's report, there are several cases in which one is that transit, you're trying to improve transit, but I don't see that it is a problem of the university that students are not capable of, making the transit within 1 hour of time. If you stay far away, then it's gonna take you more time, and it's actually TransLink, which does not provide you with much frequency. And it's not just the commute to the university to different places. So fighting for that.
Yeah, sure. So the thing is, like the transit is working on that constantly, but they are not having enough resources. They don't have that much buses available. They don't have that much workers available. They just went through a strike right now. And just giving some context, not only CapU, for this situation, not only CSU, CapU is also doing constant advocacy because the university also needs students. University also needs faculty and management on the campus to perform the activities. Apart from that, SFU, the UBC, all are facing same problems. The buses are always full packed. They're not because they are dividing the buses. Buses depending on the priorities. Our university has around 10,000 students, and UBC have around 60,000 students going there. Out of which, if we assume like half of them is going daily, that's a huge number. So there we see like a lot of bus services going to UBC, but still they are not meeting the requirement. They are also facing same problems. So in short, like the problem is regarding a whole mainland. They are having problem with the buses throughout the mainland. Only few bus routes are available that are not that much full packed of passengers, but I see like most of the buses are getting full at the busy times. For specified questions like why they are not able to, I think that's regarding the budget problems they have. They have limited finances and they have limited strength. If VP External wants to add something on that?
As you said, that why we're working on transit even though it's the students' issue to come to campus, because we don't have enough student housing. If we had it in the first place, we're going to have to come from far areas. So these are like intertwined problems. And we don't have enough student housing, again, because of the funding issue. Every sector of the province has to advocate for what they want. Similarly, we have to advocate for students for what we want. If we won't do it, no one else will. So like everyone else will keep doing it for themselves, but we will be left out. While we don't have enough student housing, we need to make sure that students who are coming to campus have an accessible way to get here. And TransLink heavily relies on like feedback from people who are taking those buses. A lot of the times, like even today, students might be learning of new services that they might not have heard. Similarly, a lot of people don't know that you can like just respond to transit, give them feedback, those kind of things. So we make this a priority for ourselves because this is an issue that students regularly face, and that is why we continue to advocate for it, so that
like we had 3 buses for coming directly to campus before, and it was easy for students to get here. Now, not so much. It's just 1 bus at Phipps Exchange, and there are long lines, and then students are missing their classes, or say for exams, they like for classes you can say that you will catch up later, but if it's an exam or anything like that, no one will take excuse that transit was late. So if we don't work on those things, they'll just keep catching up. So that is why this is one of our priorities.
But I just had one more thing. Did I misheard that you mentioned that the students are taking transit, like they have to live far away because the university is not providing student housing, right? Like enough student housing?
Yes, there isn't.
But then there is one more report stating that you guys have problem with the student housing expense, like it's expensive. So what I'm not trying to be the bad guy, but what I am trying to say is that according to your perspective, neither of us are wrong, like not the university, not the students. Because if university takes a cap on international students, the revenue would be less for the university to run. And then if you want more student housing, that's also expensive for the university. And then because there's less of housing, more of people, the real estate industry, the prices go up, right? And then when it comes to transit, like I live in Burnaby, and then from there I only have 1 bus to take, that is Phipps Exchange. However, I make sure that I come to the station before time. And then, yeah, it makes sense that some people are working, and then, but then again, while applying for the university when you were not in this country, they did mention that you should have enough money on you to support yourself financially. So I don't see the problem here. So because TransLink is trying to expand its transportation, because they did implement 32.6 million on expansion, and they are renovating all the stations. Even Phipps Exchange is now expanding. So, like in the reports, I see majority of the things we are fighting for. That's actually even before you came to the country. They didn't mention that then you need to be financially, be capable of handling these things. So you mentioned before that students come here and then it's expensive. They go back home in a taxi, right? So is that the university's mistake though?
So first, discussing you ask like if student is coming from the other country and why they are coming if they don't have enough resources. So the answer to that is
no. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that if you knew the problem and then you come here and then you ask for solutions, right?
Yep.
So that's
I understand that. So the answer is, for example, of University of Victoria, I will talk in concern of that first. Let's say I come from another country and from websites I came to know that the fees is 20,000 for 2 years. After I completed my first year, and the university increased the fees by 25%, and it's now 12,500, and unexpectedly for second year. Getting just 2,500 from nowhere is not possible for not only for international students but for domestic students. Buses are being taken by not only by domestic students, not only by international students, from domestic students too. Typically saying we have a lot of students who are living in Maple Ridge, who are living in Surrey. Those are domestic students, not international students. Living is difficult because not only for the high prices, because of limitations of working, international students are not allowed to work more than 20 hours in general times, leaving apart this 1 year and 4 months. Apart from that, there are no housing available in nearby. That's why they have to live far. If we have 10,000 students, if we are going to plan them to live nearby in North Vancouver, we are not going to find more than 20% spaces for them because there are no spaces available. It's very limited constructions. The prices for in downtown for one apartment are around more than 2,500, I believe, for one suite, and the income which international student can earn is around 1200 for 1 month. That is from 20 hours, working from 20 hours. And they have to spend everything about, I'm not talking about fees, I'm just imagining they are bringing fees with them from their home country. And the thing is, they increased GIC for now because they knew the problem is there, but the one who already came, they don't have that resources, they are already stuck. And we are working constantly on the TransLink because we are the one who are providing a UPass BC, and we are a member with that. So I think that's an important side that we should be working on. That not only ARC at CSU, I believe there is no student union who is not working on these two factors. These are the major two factors. AMS is working hard. Everyone is working hard. Like I knew numerous domestic students who are facing financial problems, not only international students. The fees structure that I already told about, like that we can divide, make installments for the semesterly fees. That's also for domestic students. They are facing a lot of problem in because they are working and then they are paying their fees. And we also have our board of directors who was our executive for a external last year, and she also explained how she was facing problem being despite of domestic students, and they're still facing to they have to live in downtown. They have spending a lot of money. They were working 40 hours outside. They were working 20 hours with us in CSU a week, and then they have to study a lot. Like so. We talk about like that only for international students. That's not the scenario. I know the situation is not going to change in some manner because resources are by balance, like they are going hand to hand for each thing, and our advocacy is important because you will be surprised to know that even some of the existing MLAs and MPs don't know that international students pay MSP. Because they are not aware about that. We were surprised to see like they don't know their own existing policies. That's why advocacy is important, and make them, yeah, that's the problem at the root level of like what our students facing. Why we ask for like commuters, we have the surveys like how many students live at what locations. North Vancouver is reported as one of the most expensive city, and it's even more expensive than downtown Vancouver. And truly saying there are that much spaces available. I was injured, my own ACL. I have a tier for ACL. I was not able to move for 2 months. At that 2 months, I shifted 3 places. I moved my stuff 3 times during that situation. I was not able to walk properly. I was working with sport of other people. I was working with the stake. I was not able. That's the situation. Like that's not only because I was able to pay for good money, but I'm not getting any suit. They were violating tenant rights, and they are facing like those are like not considered when they are away in their own nation. They don't know like this is going to happen. There are much more broad scenario and broad spectrum like we can see if we see from the root level.
Thank you so much. It seems that you guys are actually working, and it's lovely to see that. But I just want to say that it's the root cause of everything is inflation.
Hi.
And right now, if the interest rate is not fixated and goes down, there's nothing actually. There won't be any resolution. That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
So, like, Prime Minister does something, inflation goes down. That's when everything will be fine.
Yep.
I think.
I
Thank you.
think I want to add that like all the sectors do advocate for them. If we back out, we'll just be falling down. Like yes, inflation is hitting everyone, not just students, but all of the other people are also saying things like, do this for us. Like businesses, like big corporations and whatever who are flourishing are also lobbying for themselves, and they don't really need to. So we are like students are a sector that not all of them have voting rights yet. They aren't properly represented. And if we don't advocate for them, they'll just, it would be very easy for them to just exclude us if we back out. And also, yes, inflation, but funding used to be, like post-secondary used to be publicly funded. Now it's just publicly aided. They used to like contribute about 90% to like the post-sec funding, and now it's about 33%. And how many other sectors do you see that happening in? So if we back out, it's kind of like giving up, and I don't want to live by that.
Yeah, so I have one question that what is CSU or CAPU doing anything about the medical services that are being provided which only operates on Tuesdays and Thursdays? Like what if someone, like is sick on other weekends or weekdays rather than Thursdays and Tuesdays?
Sure. This is so your question is about Capilano University's health clinic. So it's open Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's not actually operated by Capilano University. It's sort of a unique situation. The university has partnered with Vancouver Coastal Health to allow VCH to run that clinic. So this is it's just a resource limitation with Vancouver Coastal Health. I don't believe the board has a policy position on the health clinic right now or the level of health services provided on campus, but that's definitely something that the board could take away and look at where there's an opportunity to pressure either the university or VCH to address that. But that's a provincial health authority issue that we could take a look at.
So what is then CSU doing about like getting your own medical, services? Cause don't you think that it's like more necessary than like the other issues that we are facing?
I believe the students have they have a student care health and dental plan like we are providing for students that is not covered in MSP, that is not covered in other insurances, and we are working with the university for the gardening insurances to give them awareness regarding what are the basic insurance they should have in beginning of 3 months before they get their MSP finalized. Saying that all the major problems that are not available in at campus are covered in MSP, and the students can use any clinic, any hospital for that. Like I'm just wondering like what sort of problem you are talking about. Like let's say we are talking about vision or we are talking about health and dental. Like is there any specified area? Because all the emergency situations for any sort of sickness, any illness, MSP is covering all the students in general, because when they've got MSP they are totally insured. Like and is there any typical area where we should be focusing according to you?
Yeah, see, I will agree with your point that we have the MSP and everything provided. But what if, like, take in context UBC or SFU, like they have their own, healthcare services that if anyone's sick on campus, they can go and like get checked up, like accordingly, right? Like they have services provided from Monday till like Friday or Saturday, whatever. But our university only has it for Tuesday and Thursday. That too, like for some couple of hours. So I'm talking about that particularly.
I understand your point. So the thing is, CSU is not having any a partnership on that program, but we will sure talk regarding that like in our future goals, like what we can do on that. Talking about UBC, I'm not aware about SFU, but UBC have like many multi-feature hospitals on their campus because of even like oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
obviously that makes sense, but I'm not talking about
Yeah,
that. I'm
but-
just saying like that don't you think that we should have like a clinic or anything
yeah.
that's like our own so that students can definitely like easily approach.
We can surely have a talk in our upcoming sessions with like university, like what we can do there and what are the possibilities, and we can update you on that. Like if you want to share your email on that, like that will be very useful, or we can
Definitely.
share. Yeah.
Also, just one last question:
Sure.
that do we have any fees reimbursements for international students? Like we do have for domestic students. I was going through the Capilano account recently, and it said that we have fees reimbursement for domestic students, but not for international students.
Sorry, could you repeat the name of the line you saw in your account summary?
Like
I actually forgot that. I think it's called financial aid or something. I was just going through it because I wanted to apply for some reimbursement, and it said that you're only eligible if you are a domestic student. Like international students are not eligible.
Okay. So the university has a number of scholarships, bursaries, and awards. And the bursaries that are available for emergency financial assistance, there are some that are only available to domestic students, but there are emergency bursaries open to international students. I know because the CSU funds them. So basically, the university's Student Society Emergency Aid Fund, that fund receives matching dollars from the Ministry of Post-Secondary Education and Future Skills because that fund receives government support, they don't permit international students to access it. That's part of the challenges international students are facing that we're talking about when we have advocacy with government about the need to open up financial aid. However, in the meantime, while those conversations are happening, the CSU funds a parallel fund that is designed for out-of-province and part-time and international students in proportionate dollars to make sure that those students have access to those resources as well. You just need to talk to financial aid and awards about it. They will point a student while they are supporting them to the correct fund that they are eligible for, but there are bursaries available for international students. You may just have been looking at or have been seeing notation about one of the domestic restricted ones, but there are absolutely international open emergency funds as well.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to hear a bit more about the updates to the gender diversity policy and what the CSU is doing for trans, non-binary, and two-spirit students.
Sure, just give us a moment, please.
Okay, so this was a fairly significant update, so it's going to take a minute or two to get through the updates that were made. So the gender diversity policy, first, what our consultants recommended, and in conversations with trans, non-binary, and two-spirit students, was under the policy's reconciliation policy principle, and talking about the importance of building relationships with two-spirit students as well. They asked us to add some illustrative examples of what reconciliation with two-spirit folks could look like, so that adding those illustrations was one of the revisions. We did some significant work to add to the intersectionality of the gender diversity policy, knowing that the more intersections of oppressed identities you add to the existing experience of being trans, non-binary, and two-spirit has a really significant impact on how someone navigates a gender affirmation process or just existing in a workplace or in a learning environment. Some parts of the policy are a little bit more human resources related, so some parts of it were about providing more targeted education and awareness resources for cisgender coworkers in particular, and moving some of the language away from all workers need to be educated on that sort of thing, and moving some of that burden away from expecting trans, non-binary, and two-spirit employees to sit in on training about themselves and how to make their own environment safer. So we made some adjustments there. We made some changes to better educate team members on protecting the privacy of trans, two-spirit, and non-binary workers. We have added more guidance. The more common optionally introducing pronouns in meetings has become at the university. We start to receive questions on, well, we just did this yesterday, why am I saying this again today? And so we've offered some more awareness and resources on the importance of that and what that action is actually doing, rather than just sort of the rote habit of it. We've clarified, we've moved away from, or added some language, on our facilities policy principle, speaking to issues in restrooms, issues about restroom safety being determined by behavior and not by gender identity or expression. The menstruation policy principle, we have been doing some work with the university and a lot of learning conversations with university community members as well, on why even in single gender men's restrooms, why it's important to still have period products available. And that, I believe, has been rolled out at least in Maple, and I believe in a number of other buildings on campus now as well. We clarified in our policy that there are no gender-based dress codes at the Capilano Students Union, and then there were some typos and stuff like that were included as well. So that's on the policy piece, the changes that were made to the policy. And we are organizing, looking to Kate and Hargan, I know we're in conversations already about programming for Trans Day of Visibility as well in a couple of weeks' time, so stay tuned for more information on that on our social media.
Hi, so my concern is regarding during a course, a professor requested us to use an external platform to submit assignments, do tests on it, and all that stuff. Like we can do that on e-learn as well. So why to use additional platform and to pay extra for it?
I am going to need so much more specific information about your case in order to respond fully. After our general meeting today, I'm going to ask you to come see me or Kate if you're here, if you can give a wave. Come see one of us. We work in the CSU Student Rights Office, and with a bit more information, we can figure out who that instructor is and what recourse you might have. We would probably take issue with an instructor requiring a paid external platform because it sounds like they're just trying to automate their teaching, which we would have some concerns about for the cost of tuition.
Thank you for raising that. I see hand is there.
Yeah, so you mentioned peer tutoring and Empower Me. What would be the timeline for it?
Oh yeah.
It was peer tutoring, and what was the second piece?
Empower Me.
And Empower Me. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So the peer tutoring was our advocacy with universities regarding that. Like, let's say I am a second year, let's say maths student, and there was a first year maths student. I don't know him, let's say, and we met at a study space, and there I was assigned as a tutor with the initial planning that I will be there to available to help for some assignments, to talk regarding not specifically plagiarism, like that's a different thing. Obviously we will be having some look over that too, if we will be planning for that. So it's regarding helping out peer tutoring. Let's say CSU is organizing that event, and they assign me as a tutor there, and they will be crediting me for 1 hour teaching there. And after, let's say, after 1 semester, I let's say tutor around 20 hours, and I will be getting certificate that I have experience of teaching 20 hours to students regarding this subject, and that will be totally that our vision says a volunteer position because of financial aspects of institutions, and it will be helpful for both because getting experience is really important for anyone who want to pursue their career in a teaching side, and one who is getting the educational resource can ask for some sort of payment because there are some professors who are interested, like let's say a friend of mine was getting offer from a physics teacher that the first year students want to learn this topic, they are happy to pay this much for 1 hour if you want to take classes. And that's the sort of peer tutoring program where students are benefited from students, like they are sharing services and resources to each other through a planned way, not like yeah.
So to more specifically jump in on the time frame piece, Karandeep has been having conversations with Daniel Avengi. He's the university's Associate Vice President of Student Success on what this can look like. The university is approving their budget for the new fiscal year tonight at their Board of Governors meeting. Those meetings are open to the public, by the way, but they're approving the budget tonight. If we are successful in this advocacy for a peer tutoring program, I expect that it would probably be a September 2024 start with the new academic year. That's usually how the university will roll out a new program like that. And in terms of Empower Me already exists. It's already fully funded. Come chat with someone at Member Services after the SAGM, and they can give you the information on how to reach out to them. So we can continue taking questions. Acknowledging it is also 1 o'clock, and some folks may need to leave for class. Do not worry if you need to do that. That is okay. We will not be offended. But we can keep going for as long as there are additional questions or until membership decides to adjourn the meeting.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So I just have one more question. That don't you think we should have some better food services or maybe some more food services available on campus? Rather than Subway and Tim Hortons.
The short answer is yes. We are advocating for that too. But the thing is, university has contracted that for a longer piece of time. They have their Yeah, with Chatwells, basically they have a contract for a longer period of time. They have total right, like what they want to serve, what they don't want to. But with over time, with our I don't know which semester are you being here, but a few semesters ago there was like only specified amount of food. We are getting much more now, with a uh, constant advocacy with them, and with the diversity we are seeing in our campus. Furthermore, we will try to advocate for that. Like if we are getting our student union own building, that we should have our own food there.
Yeah, so to add a bit of context there, so Chartwells has exclusivity on campus, which is why the Subway and the Tim Hortons are not actual full franchises. They're operated by Chartwells with a front of that brand. The challenge we run into in financial conversations with the university and with Chartwells on this is that Chartwells over the pandemic ran a deficit, and they only recently just went into the black. In this most recent fiscal year, Chartwells is required to pay the university a commission of the profit that they make at the institution. So there's a financial incentive for the institution to limit food quality and choice. Because that, of course, translates into usually more quality food translates into less profitability. But additionally, we have seen some food service providers literally just cut and run and end their contract, like at Kwantlen Polytechnic University, where they just shut down all of the cafeterias and said, find a new food service provider, we're out. So there is, the advocacy on this piece is multi-layered while we're navigating those conversations with the university. They know that we're unhappy with food service, both in terms of selection, quality, price, service hours, literally all of it. They generally don't hear positive feedback from us on food services. I would suggest, and Karandeep can help me remember, or a member of staff who our two student leaders are on the universities. I think it's Mayumi and Manpreet. If you could both raise your hands for a second here. So Mayumi and Manpreet are on the university's Food and Beverage Service Committee, which is the committee that actually gets to meet with the director of food services, as well as with representatives from Chartwells. And they actually do like food testing and like much more detailed involvement where Chartwells may actually implement some of the feedback in a way that's a little bit more likely. So I suggest connecting with the two folks who had their hands up over here if you have like really specific pieces of feedback, but otherwise I would say we agree.
Honestly, I don't have like very specific, but I would just like to like say one more thing, that as talking about the service hours basically of the food services. Say Subway, like it says that it's open till like 5 or 5:30 on Google Maps, and but like I've personally seen so many times that they closes up on 3:30, 4 o'clock whenever they feel like. Like I have seen the staff doing that. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we totally agree on that. Like that's a totally like we don't have any control over there, but for sure we can talk regarding that through our connections. But the simple thing is, yeah, we are facing that problem from a long time and trying to figure it out.
So we all discussed the impact that we are having for the transportation.
Give us 1 second. Oh, battery. Could we swap mics, please? Just give us 1 second. Sorry, just so that everyone can hear.
So we have discussed about the transportation, and we have seen what it could impact because of the strike. Like our whole schools, everything was shut down. So me personally, I would say I'm coming from Sari every twice a week. So every day it takes 1.5 an hour. So in a day it's 3 hours. So in a week there's 6 hours. So that's in total in a month 24 hours, which is 1 day of my life is being wasted just to transit. So if I'm only one person, but there is thousands of students, and I think they can relate with me, so that would be like we have 12,000 to 10,000 students in Capilano. So if there is 3,000 who is facing the same issue, so that means every month we are wasting 3,000 day from our life, which can be used in other purposes. So what I would say for the solution, the KPU has implemented a solution which is working very well for them, which is they have internal shuttle services. So they have their own buses in different locations. For example, they have one buses in Surrey, one in downtown, one in Barnaby, and they have a specific schedule where their shuttle gonna pick up the students and it gonna go directly to the Capilano. So if we have any something like that, that we'll have some buses in Surrey Central at specific time where all the Capilano student can be on board and they don't have to then take all the transit. They can come directly to the university. That I think that would save a lot of time, and I would request CSU to advocacy for the having a shuttle service from the Capilano so that we don't have to be depend on the TransLink only.
Sure, we can. I'm happy for our staff to take back that idea. I will say, having been involved with Kwantlen Polytechnic University, some of the additional context there, and it doesn't affect the merit of the idea. It does affect the price. At KPU, students do actually pay a $10 add-on for each month of the UPass BC program. So KPU students pay an additional $40 each month. That amount is what funds some of the additionally transit-supported services that they operate. And the Kwantlen Student Association, their equivalent of their CSU, they fund just under half of the cost of their community shuttles. The university funds the rest, and it is in the hundreds of thousands of dollars for KPU. So it is possible. It is absolutely possible. The model exists. It would come with a student fee that would need to fund that, which is not a barrier. It's just a referendum that students would need to agree to. But we're happy to look at models and see what Akshat and the Events and Services Committee think.
Right. So if there is a service that CSU would offer the Capilano, I would be more happy to pay $10 a month, which is nothing compared to the time that I'm spending in transit and the hassle that I have to take. So I think the student would be happy to pay $10 more with UPass, but if we have something like that, then it would save the time and which we can invest in some other productive works rather than just being on the bus line.
Yeah, sure. So I think that will be a matter to discuss and to bring for informal resolution or referendum maybe.
Yeah, we can review it.
Yeah, but the main point is like we will be working on that, and I already had a chat with Paul regarding that, like president of our university, that this is existing and if this is possible. Doing it on a university level is not quite possible because university can't alone fund that much. KPU has a double amount of students than us, and secondly, most of students for KPU is coming from a particular regions. They have 5 campuses. They are coming from not too much away. They're mostly coming from Surrey Central and stations like that. We have much more vast locations of our students, but still, yeah, we will look for that.
Can we get Abhijit a mic?
Yeah, I can answer to that because I was at KPU. I did my 1.5 year at KPU, and the service that is, it's an inter-campus shuttle. So basically, so how things work in KPU is that suppose if I was a biology major, so if I have a class in Surrey, I can't take that class because it's already being full. So I have to go all the way to Richmond and then I have to go all the way to Langley to take my biology major's class. So that's going to be the entire day. And the inter-campus shuttle starts in Surrey, so it's neither from your any Surrey Center or something. It goes from Surrey to Langley, and it goes from Langley to Cloverdale, that is KPU Tech. And also just to add that there is no shuttle at KPU Richmond. That's the main thing, and the only shuttle they have is at night 10:30, which makes no sense. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for your experience, Abhijit.
We'll pass along your notes to KPU. Do we have any other questions, folks?
Calling twice for questions. Any questions? Seems none, so I'm moving ahead with our part, that is adjournment. Anything before we adjourn the meeting? Anyone, anything before we adjourn the meeting? Yeah, so I call meeting off at 1:13 p.m. Thanks everyone for attending. We have refreshments available for you, and we also have some games for you that are organized by our staff. And my last call for all, being a student representative, feedback and involvement of students is the thing that can help us to do the most we can. We are getting very less to no students in our board meetings, in our club, in our committee meetings, which are like having taking place like twice a week, thrice a week. Like we have that number of meetings each week. So please, if you are available to join, please join our board meetings. That's every second Friday. Next one is on next week, right? Next Friday. This Friday? Next Friday.
March 8th.
Yeah. So our next board meeting is on March 8th, Friday, 2:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. So please join us there. You can join our executive meeting for any questions. You can join our executives for any questions or a session with them for chat. So thank everyone for attending.